Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here for this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Before we get started, as always, we have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And I have some Boy Scouts here tonight. Would you mind coming up to the podium, gentlemen, and lead us through the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? We'd appreciate it. All right, would everybody please rise? All the men and women of the United States Armed Forces that are protecting us and fighting for our freedoms every day, both domestically and overseas. Thank you. Okay, once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here for this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Today's date is Wednesday, May 8th, 2019, and tonight's Town Board meeting is a work session. Prior to coming out here this evening for the public portion of the meeting, the board met in executive session at 6 p.m. with Mike Carnazza, the Building and Codes Enforcer, to discuss a personnel matter, and also with Glenn Drosy, the town assessor, to discuss a contractual matter or a proposal with GAR Associates, who you're going to be hearing from very shortly tonight. For the record, all board members are present with the exception of Councilman Schneider, who couldn't be with us this evening as he had a personal obligation out of town that he couldn't reschedule that he had committed to, so he couldn't be here with us tonight. Greg Fulchetti, our town council, is all the way down. You're usually down there. Yeah, all the way down to my right. And as I said, we have Glenn Drosy, the town assessor, that most of you, if not all of you, are familiar with. Glenn's our assessor over there, and he has with him a gentleman from GAR Associates, who's Dave from GAR Associates, who is going to be discussing with you tonight the most recent reassessments. It's Dave Barnett. He's the Vice President of GAR Associates, LLC, Real Estate Appraisers and Consultants, that the Town Board had retained the assistance from GAR during the reval and now during the cyclical reassessments of the real estate in the Town of Carmel. GAR was involved in that as well. So what they're going to be presenting tonight is to discuss, how the assessing department, the assessors, and GAR arrived at the new assessments that everybody had gotten in the mail just recently. And they're going to be talking about the time of sale of inventory, New York State sales, usability criteria. They're going to be discussing determining market trends from sales, indicated trends, what trends were applied to our market neighborhoods. This information will be presented by Dave, and the Officer of Real Property Services, Steve Harnett, and John Woolman were notified of this meeting. They were invited to attend this meeting, but unfortunately they had prior commitments and they weren't able to attend. So I'm sure most of you are here to learn more about what the cyclical reassessment process is, how it works, how it affects your particular parcels and your properties. And Glenn and Dave are going to bring you through that, what the process was and how certain determinations were made with respect to your individual taxes. So it's an important meeting. Thank you all for being here. It's educational for you, and hopefully you'll have a better understanding of how they arrived at your particular individual assessments. But there is a process, as you know. There's the Grievance Day this year, which is May 24th, Glenn?
May 28th.
May 28th is Grievance Night here at the Town of Carmel. So if you feel, after meeting with the assessor and discussing your particular properties with the assessor, if you still would like to challenge that further, that assessment, then you would meet with the Board of Assessment Review on May 28th, right here in the Town Hall, to discuss with them further your assessments. So without any further ado, Glenn, I'm going to turn it over to you and Dave.
Okay.
And he's got a PowerPoint presentation that they're going to make, and then at the end of that, we're going to take questions or comments from the audience, from the public. So, go ahead, Glenn, take it away.
So, good evening, everybody. Dave Barnett and I work to maintain assessments at 100%. This is something we work on diligently, continuously throughout the year. Also, my staff, I have a great appraisal staff on site. We are constantly reviewing data to keep assessments at full market value. We've been doing that since our 2017 reassessment project. And what we're going to do tonight is just give a brief overview of how we maintain those assessments, since our 2017 reassessment project. So we'll start with the PowerPoint and continue. Okay.
So what I would like to do is just go kind of a comprehensive look as to what an annual assessment maintenance program looks like. What the PowerPoint will address is, really the process. There'll be some statutory dates that are legal real property tax law dates. I'll reference the Office of Real Property Tax Services, who oversees assessment rolls across New York State. It's a agency that's an arm of Department of Taxation and Finance. But it's a real quick, I would say about 15, 20 minutes of just an overview of what annual assessment and really what preserving your equity and your assessments from the reassessment project on an annual basis looks like and what's involved. Maybe clear up some misconceptions, some myths, and then we'll open it up to sort of a question and answer. If something's not covered within this PowerPoint, or if you have questions about a specific issue or question that you may have, we'll address it, after I get through the presentation. Just a couple key, facts. In 2017, there was a town-wide reassessment project. And since then, there's been an annual maintenance program set up so that assessments based on market conditions and sales were adjusted appropriately. Really a goal of any reassessment project or any annual assessment program is to ensure that property owners are the assessments are fair and equitable, and that a property owner is paying no more or no less than their share of the tax burden. Along with doing a reassessment project, it's prudent, and this town board has done this, in maintaining those assessments so that you're preserving the initial, quite frankly, unpopular reassessment project, but necessary project, so that everybody is brought up to what is at that time the market value. And in the interim years, you're making those adjustments whether the market goes up or the market goes down. Different areas of the town appreciate or depreciate at varying levels. Types of homes appreciate or depreciate at varying levels. So what in whole and the overview is that there's an analysis that's done on a yearly basis to ensure that those adjustments are made. And some of the key components is analyzing and verifying arm's length sales. And what are arm's length sales? That's a non-distressed, two separate, an informed buyer, informed seller. That's not a foreclosure sale. That's not a related party. Those are properties that had ample market exposure time and basically are valid sales. And that's what the basis is on a yearly basis for determining your assessment. There is a systematic analysis that's done on a yearly basis where you're looking at the whole, and you're looking at all the properties, regardless if it's a residential property, a vacant, or commercial. All of the parcels are analyzed and looked at. I mentioned before that property values do not change consistently across neighborhoods, property types, or styles. So part of that and part and parcel of that is also looking at neighborhoods. Now, the town is broken down through neighborhood delineation to identify certain areas and certain neighborhoods that are similar or different. And when looking at sales within that neighborhood, for a lack of better terms, you're comparing apples to apples and oranges to oranges. We try to stay in the old real estate adage is location, location, location. So we go through the process of looking, which was done in the reassessment project of identifying neighborhoods within the town. But that is also actually analyzed on a yearly basis to make sure that those neighborhoods are still appropriate and that they shouldn't be changed. Upon looking at values and looking at sales, there are quality control measures that are performed to ensure at the end of the day that the assessments are consistent. I did mention earlier about the Office of Real Property Tax Services. They monitor and validate results. Ultimately, they're going to look at assessments and determine if the town of Carmel is at 100%. They'll look at assessments they've monitored. They're involved pretty much at every point of the project itself, but ultimately the assessment office is in constant contact with them, and ultimately they certify the roll at 100%. Some of the early testing, because, and I'll mention this with some key statutory dates, the tentative roll has been filed. There will be a grievance day, which is May 28th. The final roll is filed July 1st. So theoretically, right now, it's a work in progress. Through the mailing, and if you receive notification, that assessment change is currently tentative. It will not be final until July 1st. If you disagree with your assessment, you have a couple avenues to challenge it. First being, you can always come in and talk to your assessor, but you also have a grievance day. The grievance day is with the Board of Assessment Review. That's not a member of the assessment office. It's certainly not a member of GAR Associates. What you do have in common with this, I'll refer to as an independent panel, is that they're all residents and they're knowledgeable about real estate. So if you do disagree with your assessment, I encourage you to look at the information that's available through your assessment office. Certainly you have an opportunity to challenge it at grievance day, and there will be additional steps that you can take in the event that you don't get a reduction through grievance day. Case in point here is that they are tentative, and nothing is set in stone. As I said, the assessment roll is a work in progress from the standpoint that there are adjustments that will be made before the roll becomes final July 1st. I referenced, and I think we should just go through some key dates. Evaluation date, now this is a legal statutory date. That's July 1st. That's July 1st of any year. In this case, and for the 2019 assessment roll, is July 1st of 2018. That's a legal date, and it basically states that we try to get as close to that July 1st, in this case 2018 date for your value. A taxable status date, which is March 1st of 2019. So the way the law dictates that whatever is on the property as of March 1st of 2009 will get a value. Any open permits, there may be partial values that are applied for construction that's not completely finished. I mentioned the tentative roll filing date, which is May 1st of 2019. Grievance day, which will be the fourth Tuesday in May, in this case May 28th, 2019. And the final roll, which is filed every year, July 1st, this is no different. In this case, it's July 1st of 2019. The first time that you'll see the impact in your school, it would be in your school bill, right? Yes. The first time you'll see this new assessment, your 2019 assessment, will be in your school bill in September of 2019, and then subsequent, it will be in January of 2020 with your town and county. I mentioned before, the assessor has an open door policy. So if you do have issues, I encourage you to contact your assessor, meet with him. There is information that's available in trying to keep with a transparent process. You have the ability to look at other people's assessments. You have the ability to look at sales that were utilized to determine your value. There's certainly additional information on the Department of Taxation Finance website that spells out, in detail, real property tax law, statutory dates, the filing process to go through grievance day. You can obtain the grievance form. It's a RP 524. Certainly go to your assessor's office to get that form, as well as online. You can meet with your assessor in an informal meeting prior to the Board of Assessment review. On that website, there's also links to videos. There's just a wealth of information that explains in detail, as well as in the assessor's page, of what assessment is, what some of the myths and misconceptions, what the equalization rate, right now currently you're at 100%, some of the inherent benefits to all property owners in the town of Carmel of maintaining the assessments out of 100%. There's a lot of different factors that go into being at 100 and a lot of repercussions if you're not at 100, and a lot of inherent benefits of being at 100. Certainly, you can complete your application, bring it to the grievance, or make appointments and drop it off at the assessor for, if you choose not to show up. As I mentioned, grievance day is May 28th, 2019. And that's kind of the process overall. Again, analysis that was conducted and performed is to identify inequities within the specific neighborhoods. Not everybody went up. There were certain areas that the sales indicated that there were adjustments that were required. What it does in performing that analysis is identify certain market areas, and then at that point, the assessor uses the human element and the assessment and the appraisal expertise to make those adjustments. Not every property is identical. If they were, I wouldn't be here. Glenn probably wouldn't be here. We could put everybody's house into a formula and spit out a perfect number. We can't do interior inspections, so we do have to make assumptions. That's not rules that have been made up by the assessment office. We're following in accordance with real property tax law in terms of developing values and adhering to their rules and regulations. But certainly, this isn't a science. It's not perfect. Therefore, you have an opportunity either through your assessor or at grievance date to challenge your value. As I mentioned, it's tentative at this point. It's not final till July 1st. So I would encourage you to look at the information, review the information. If you do feel that your assessment is excessive, that there's no way that you could get that market value, please keep in mind that we do have to adhere to certain statutory dates. That's by law. But certainly, people can present information to the assessor, and certainly at grievance day, for consideration. That's all I got. Glenn, you want to add?
So right now, we can take some questions if you'd like to, or we can continue with a little more detail if you want more detail. Does anyone have any questions so far?
Does anybody want to come up and have any specific questions they'd like to address this with the assessor? Come on up. Gary, how are you? Hi.
Mr. Barnett is your name?
Yes.
So is assessing an exact science?
I think I have to talk into this. No, it's an art form.
It's an art form.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's an art form. So sometimes you make mistakes?
I would say that nothing is 100% in any regard.
Is it possible you can overassess a property?
There are assumptions that are made, yes, sir.
And why would a property be overassessed?
There may be some extenuating circumstances, either in the interior condition or the exterior condition, certain influences that may or may not be known by the assessor.
Does the assessor try to get a look at the homes before making an assessment?
I don't
I can answer that. Yes, of course we tried to. Yes, we did it. We spent, quite a bit of money to do a town-wide reassessment project. The vendor knocked on everybody's door, asking to get into the home. Letters were mailed to everyone requesting interior reviews. Many homes we did not get into. That's natural. That happens. There's nothing in the state law that requires us or allows us to go through a house without the permission of the homeowner. So yes, inventories are wrong sometimes and values are put on wrong because we have to, by state law, make assumptions from either the front door or from street side. So yes, things do happen, values.
When you look at a property, Glenn, do you also look at the steepness of the slopes?
We sure do.
And what happens if it's on steep property?
We make adjustments to value because of it.
Do you adjust down,
Typically, yes.
but you don't adjust up?
Well, sometimes having a slope on a lot is good because on certain houses, it can give you a walkout basement. So it depends on the home also. Every property is unique in its own way. So-
The only reason I'm asking you,
And
excuse me,
Talking about a slope for a walkout, or you're talking about steep?
I'm talking about steep.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mike.
well, sometimes sloped lots, steep lots, there's benefits to them also. There's views from homes that are high up on a steep hill. That adds to value.
Yeah, the reason I'm bringing this up is there seems to be a large inequity on the homes that you assessed on Mapac Point. A lot of those homes are very steep, and a lot of those homes were assessed too high. And the reason we know that is that on the steep homes, the values have gone down because the assessments are very high for a property on a steep slope. Mr. Barnett, a question for you. In general, if a house is assessed at $1.3 million, it's been on the market for 3 years, but it's only listed for $1.1 million for sale, would you think there might be a mistake in the assessment?
That would be a consideration, yes.
Just a consideration?
Well, you're giving me salient facts of a situation. I would say yes. That would be something to look at if I were to determine an assessment for that.
Do we have to go to court for you to look at this, or can you just say, you know what, it's overassessed, I'm going to make the adjustment without going to court?
I'm not in a position to make that judgment at this point. It would be something that your assessor would have to review.
The assessor has reviewed it.
As you know, we would review the property in detail, yes, and we would compare to sales of homes that have already occurred. That would be the primary factor in this. State law requires me to assess properties based on homes that have sold, fair market value transfers, not just because the listing is low. Listings have been known to be low for many reasons, such as divorce. Homes don't sell sometimes. Situations of housebound people or homes that just smell. That's a fact. We know that sometimes those are factors. Sometimes you remove.
So let's take a house that doesn't smell. It's normal. People live in it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's been on the market for 3 years. It's assessed at $1.3 million. We've asked you to look at it. We've asked you to make the adjustment. Do you think somebody's going to come and pay $1.3 million when it's only listed for $1.1 million?
We would have to review it, Gary. We would have to review it, and I think the house you're talking about was just listed in April. Below the assessment is what you're
Been
talking
on the
about.
market 3 years. It was assessed improperly from day one.
That could be because the homeowner didn't let us in.
Will you make your judgments without going in? You just told us that.
You said we were in the house?
No, I said you. You told me that sometimes you get in, sometimes you don't, but you make your assessments based on what you see.
Yes, We're
Okay.
required to do that by
So
state
you made
law.
an assessment up here when the house is not worth that amount and never has been.
Is there many homes that you're seeing that are
I'm spec-
listed below the assessment?
Well, I have 4 that I handed you, but I'm talking about one in specific.
Okay, but
I just wanted to
you're
make
aware
that
of the
point.
details of those 4 you handed me. I
I
replied
am, I'm not
in a letter
questioning
form.
those, but they're all higher than what they're listed for. I'm talking about one specific house that's listed at that was listed, that was assessed at 1.3, but it's only listed now at 1.1, and it's a disservice to the homeowner, it's a disservice to the realtors, or real estate brokers in this area, and people look at the taxes of $42,000 and say, I'm not gonna buy this house. And it's understandable. So we're saying, work with us, Glenn. If you see it's highly overassessed, reduce the price on it.
I think the people in the town, most of them know that I do work with them. I'm here to do that. That's my job to
Everybody from
determine
Mapac
the
Point
proper
is sitting
value.
here, and they don't think that you're working with them. They think that the taxes are still too high.
Well, my job isn't taxes. My job
They
is
think the
assessments
assessment is too
and
high.
market values.
You know what we're talking about. We're talking about assessments. Everybody feels on Mapac Point, somehow gigantic error of judgment.
You're also aware listings can be very high. I don't chase listings up either. I mean, we have a listing in the town that's $8 million higher than our assessment. Does that mean that that's right?
I think your
doesn't.
job is to assess it fairly. That's what I think. That's all we're looking for.
I agree with you. It is my job to assess it fairly, yes, as a market value.
Thank you, Gary. Is there anyone else that would like to come up? Has any specific questions they'd like to address with the assessor? And Dave from GAR? Yes, ma'am?
Marie Frankel. I don't have a question on my assessment. I have a question because one of the big issues is school taxes are a big portion of our taxes. Has there ever been sort of like a reverse engineering where we look at, and not even on it's done, I guess, in the background on a parcel basis, but it doesn't have to be made available under, you could call properties A, B, and C, but to somehow figure out what the actual cost is. You know, we know what a cost per child to educate is in our schools. Calculate a number of children per address, look at what the revenue is from that property, and just look and see what you're getting in terms of how we're paying versus what we're getting out of the system. Has anyone ever, is that something that can be done?
Well, this board doesn't handle the school budget or the levies. This board only handles, town.
Right, but you know what the number is, and you know
We know what the
and you know
assessments
what
are,
the-
yes,
Right.
because the
So
schools use them.
is there something you have to go to the school board to find out about?
I would think so, yeah, that's the direction you'd have to
Who would be the
go.
person that could, dump that data and then compare it to the data that comes in, on a property basis?
I would believe that would probably be the school finance department or comptroller's office.
Okay, because I think there's probably a lot of inequities in terms of the value of what we're getting for our taxes in terms of properties versus school
What are
assessments
your
and things
thoughts on
like that.
I think that's an inquiry that's properly made to the school board. With respect to the cost for educating a given child or children, I mean, some large percentage of the properties in the town either are not occupied by families with children or putting children through the school system here. So the real property tax law provides for the taxes to be based upon the assessment.
think it'd be an
I've never heard the
interesting
suggestion
concept.
before, but I think
Yeah, I just think it's an interesting
school's the biggest
concept.
nut, so you would
Yeah,
want to do it at
exactly.
the school level.
And then people might be, when they see that, they might say, well, maybe we need to go after the school money, and maybe it should be reduced by somehow.
You know, they just had the candidate forum last night.
Oh,
I wish you knew, I wish it was tomorrow night, say, go there and ask that question, because I think it's a pretty neat one.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a good
Okay.
question.
Well, I'm gonna,
really.
there's a meeting, I guess. Oh, it was the 7th, is that
Yeah,
on the
yesterday,
budget? Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Thank you. Norman? Huh? Yeah.
Yes, I just want to try and answer the young lady's question. I was on the town board for 10 years. Yeah, we didn't have a tax increase, but now it seems we have 18% every year. But that's the school, as far as the school goes. Many years ago, I was speaking with a school board member, and when I say many, it's got to be 7, 8 years ago. who was on, and at that time, he told me it cost $35,000 a year for each student in this town. Now, that's crazy, isn't it? You could send a kid to college. We should eliminate schools in town and just send them straight to college, because this is insane what we're doing here. Well, our teachers make a bundle of money in this town. You'd be surprised. I happen to know 2 teachers who are married to each other. Their total income is over $300,000 a year. And, you know, one is making, the last time I looked, and you can go online and see what every teacher is making in this town. One was making $158, and the wife was, gee, she got screwed, excuse me, she made $139, you know, and so I'm just saying, the problem is really the schools in this town, and we don't do anything about it. Nobody goes marching over there and starts talking to them. They come here and they go after the board. And believe me, I don't agree with this board a lot of times, but that's a fact of life. I would imagine if I spoke to that gentleman 7 years ago, that it's upwards of $40,000 for each kid. Now, I've been living here for over 45 years. My children, yes, they went to school many, many moons ago, but I'm still paying. I happen to pay high taxes. I hear people speaking here tonight, and I'm looking to get the hell out of here. And I just, you know, and it is basically the school. The town, tonight, I'm going to be here because I'm talking about this TV channel. They want to spend $186,000. I gave them an option to do it for $33,000, and I could find it for $5,000. But, you know, that's why I'm here tonight. And I hope I enlightened you a little bit, but you got to go march on the school.
Thanks, Norman. Is there anyone else? Yes, ma'am?
I have a question about the assessment, full value assessment process. Thank you for the explanation of the timing of your full value assessment. Susan Crawford, South Lake Boulevard, Route 6N. The full value assessments were done in 2017. The effect of the Trump tax changes where over $10,000 in property taxes are no longer allowed to be deductible has hit New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Maryland. They're all suing quite hard. How did that timing of that, those changes affect your full value assessment? Because obviously any property that's going to be subjected to a non-deductible tax rate is going to take a hit in terms of its saleable value. So how did the timing of that play into your assessment, your reassessment, et cetera?
Well, it really hasn't played out yet. We determine assessments based on sales that have occurred. So the reality is, if value is affected, it has to happen in the sales first before it shows up on the assessment roll. Like Dave was saying, we value back to July 1st of 2018 for this 2019 roll. So that's the date we're looking at for values. And it's always July 1st for every assessment roll that we look July 1st of the prior year. So the sales really have to occur first. If there's a value change, it will show up on the next assessment roll. No, well, not as a percentage. Yeah, we're looking at comps. We're looking at the sales, analyzing changes from one year to the next.
I'm thinking of a house that sold last June, fairly soon after the valuation was done, and it sold below the taxes.
Ms. Crawford? They can't hear you at home, so if you want to if you have further questions, you mind coming back?
No, I think you've answered my question.
Okay, all right. We don't mind, but I just... to the podium. All right, is there anyone else that would like to come up and address the assessor? Joe? How are you?
Hi, it's Joe Schultz, 19 Rockville Road. Hi, guys.
Hello.
So, I'm going to try and make sure I speak into it the entire time. So, my question's as follows. So, I'm a homeowner. I get a tax assessment. I understand that you spend time doing the tax assessment and then resetting the tax assessment year over year. From the original tax assessment to the new tax assessment, how do I know what the changes are, right? To the neighborhood lines, to the non-neighborhood lines. I'm trying to understand this. So how do I look at my own taxes and say, well, that's fair? Or how do I even make a compelling argument when I go up to grieve them to say that they're fair? So like I thought today, maybe it was my misunderstanding from the last time, that we were actually going to kind of dig into numbers. And maybe I just need to set up an appointment, but then that gets difficult, right? I don't work in town. It's an hour commute each way for me. By the time I get back into town, it's 7 o'clock at night. How do I do that? So how do I look at the assessment that was done in 2017? I understand there's a lot of components that change and mix and match, but how do I get comfortable, right? How do I turn around and say, okay, that makes sense. You came up with this assessment. You took these sales numbers. Within reason, I understand it changes a bit. And then you apply, you reduce, you back out, what did you say? Arm's length sales, non-distressed, non-related parties, ample exposure time, and then, kind of apply like a simple test to it, right? As a layperson and say, okay, right, I'm assessed, I live in this area, and the lines used to be in this quadrant. This houses went into this grouping. Tends to be a typical normal assessment that you can apply to it and say, all right, and then the sales that applied to those houses went about X, and then there's some fudge factor. I find myself in a difficult position to look at my own taxes up or down. Mine have gone down on the house that I reside in. I don't think they've gone down to the extent they should have, but how do I assess that as a layperson? Like, how do I understand you guys work hard. I'm not saying you don't. I'm not saying you don't try to apply your best assessment to certain things. It's a tricky process. It's an artwork, Dave, as you said, possibly. But then as the person who's paying the taxes, how do I get comfortable or not, and then make a valid argument if I'm not comfortable? Right? I honestly feel like I'm chasing shadows. So if I go in and decide to make an assessment, I have to sit there and chase down Gary, most likely. Give me sales around the lake. What does that mean? What area? What area am I looking at? How do I apply that? Do I make an appointment? To kind of get down into that understanding? I think you mentioned to me to come in and see me, and I appreciate that, but it's difficult. So is there after-hour appointments? How do I apply that?
Yeah.
Did you have anything you want to say?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the level of detail that you're looking for, Joe, yes. I mean, it does take time to go through.
Right.
We do look at sales. We determine, ratios from the sales to the prior year assessments. Mm-hmm. And then that ratio, of course, is looked at as an aggregate for each market neighborhood.
Right. But the lines change at times, right? So the neighborhoods may change, and I understand that.
Yeah, where we see the need for improvement, yeah, we do make changes to the market neighborhoods and what homes are in those market neighborhoods. And then we apply the trends. It's kind of a blanket trend to that neighborhood. It could be up or down. But that's not the only thing we do. We of course, look at other things such as condition of the homes. We are in the town constantly looking at homes. If we see condition changes, grade changes, of course, building permits, additions, renovations, we're picking that up. So there's always adjustments. The sales, at the time a sale occurs, we create a time of sale file, and we document what that sale is, what the condition of it is, the grade, the square footage, bedrooms, baths, everything. We take pictures of it. We have that data. So I don't know what level of detail we can get in tonight.
No, understood. That I understand. But
and yes, I will make after-hours appointments if you need me to explain that to you, of course.
okay.
We probably would need more time than this meeting can give us to get into that.
Right.
But I'd be glad to Open up the files. We go through thousands of screens each year of data. You know, me, my staff, we just can't show all that here in this meeting. We can't bring up the property pictures to show you why we're grading something as one thing and another thing as something else. It's something you'd have to see. Like Dave said, it is like an art form. We're trying to do the right thing. You know, we don't like to be wrong with our assessments, of course. You know, we want to make them fair for everybody, so everybody pays their fair share of taxes. But yeah, please, if you want to, contact me after the meeting, and we'll arrange an appointment to go into more detail.
Yeah,
You wanna do that?
I'm going to take you up on that, because
Yeah,
I
okay.
need to understand to be able to make a fair argument, one way or the other. And I'm analytical, so I need to understand it from an analytical point of view, and then you can apply the art afterwards. So, all right,
Yep.
I appreciate that, so thank you.
Oh, thank you, too.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. All right. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and address the assessor and the GAR representative? Come on up at this time. Okay, there being none, as Glenn had stated, that he will make time to meet with whoever wants to discuss their individual file, property card, parcel with him. They'll make time for that. So there is time between now and May 28th for you to do that. So I would highly suggest, not only you folks that are here, but those at home that are watching, that if you feel that your assessment is too high and you'd like to educate yourself and understand more as to why it is what it is, or you, in most cases, you would like to have it adjusted lower, well, I don't blame you for that at all. You do need to meet with the assessor's office. Glenn is going to make himself available. His staff, Scott and Chris, are here as well, and they'll make themselves available. And maybe you can resolve your issue before the 28th of May. But if you can't, and you're still not satisfied after you've met with the assessing department, please, by all means, fill out an application and go before the Board of Assessment Review to further grieve your particular parcel. I would recommend that.
And Kenny, I just want to say one thing, that all of the assessments, they went out. So if you did not get yours, call the, Glenn, can they call you?
Oh, of course.
If they didn't receive it?
Yeah, they can call us, yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
the assessment roll is online, too. There's a large PDF on the Town of Carmel website.
Okay.
It's the 2019 tentative assessment roll. They can open up that PDF and right-click on it and just search for their name. So, or location address, if they want to see this year's tentative assessment. But yes, of course, they can call us, come
Okay.
into the office. We're there, you know, for the public. That's,
All right, perfect. I just don't want somebody to say, oh my God, I didn't
Yeah,
get it,
no.
and then it's too late.
No, you really need to educate yourselves and understand. It's very complicated, the assessing process. As you heard tonight, it is, so there's a lot involved in it. But I think if you have a better understanding of how your particular property is assessed at, what it is, that would be very helpful to you. And I'm surprised there aren't more people here, to be quite honest with you. I was hoping that more would have showed up, but maybe they're home watching. So we'll try to get that information out to everybody. Yes, sir? No, that hasn't.
Can you repeat the question, because at home didn't hear it?
Okay, living in Water District 2, which this gentleman, I believe you live in Carmel Water 2, would that have an effect on your assessment? It has effect on your special taxes that you pay, district taxes that you pay in your tax bill, but it doesn't have an effect. Am I correct, Glenn? It doesn't have an effect on his actual assessed value of his property?
well, again, that's something that we would have to see if higher taxes, decreases value or affects value in some way.
Yeah.
It's something that would have to play out over time. We would see it within the sales, and, we would adjust the next assessment roll based on those sales.
Higher taxes will obviously bring the prices down. And what he's saying is you have to wait
Wait a year.
till it happens. Glenn, can you just tell some of the people why they got two, had somebody ask me today why they got two assessments on the same piece of property that were different?
Yeah, I did speak with one person. There was 3 properties on the point that we wanted to make changes to the assessments. And the notices were printed, we'd missed making the change, so it didn't go out on the first notice. So there were some handwritten notices that went out to 3 properties. That's what happened there. That's all.
Right. Any other board members have anything else to say? John, Mike? Well, thank you all for being here. For those who came to the meeting with respect to this presentation by the assessor, you're certainly welcome to stay if you'd like to stay for the remainder of our meeting. It's a work session. Or if you'd like to go back to your homes, that's great also. So we'll just give you a couple of minutes for those who want to leave. You can leave, and then if you want to stay, by all means, please stay.
What's the mill rate per thousand that would be in charge?
The mill rate?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Glenn,
Tax rate, mill rate?
the mill rate? Scott, can you speak to?
What was the question about mill rate?
Bye.
What's the mill rate?
The mill rate is the aggregate of all the tax rates, the town, county schools, special districts. So it's the total of all the rates, the ad valorem rates.
Shouldn't the mill rate for the whole town be similar, the same?
No, because we have 6 different school districts and probably about 50 different special districts, many different fire departments, water districts, sewer districts. It's not all just one district, not all one school district. So, yeah, there's...
But there's commonalities amongst the districts and commonality amongst the general mill rate.
But that's not really fair because, okay, some houses are worth so much more money, so it's understandable people pay more on taxes. But the mill rate should be 3, 3 1/4, 2 7/8.
Well, again, the mill rate is a derived number. We don't set the mill rate. It's the tax levy divided by the assessed value creates the mill rate.
Right.
So whatever the district you're in or whatever school district you're in, the tax levy changes because different school districts will have a different tax levy. So, but the overall general town budget, everyone's going to have that same mill rate for that general tax. The highway, same mill rate for that, but when you start getting into a water district, there's different costs per water district. Some water districts are more expensive than the other. Some schools have different number of kids, different size of school. So that's where it changes. But there are certain commonalities amongst the various taxable mill rates.
But it should be generally the same throughout the town.
Again, by New York State law, that's not how it works. You have a levy, and that levy is the expenses minus any revenue or any aid that you get in. That's what the taxes have to be collected. And then you have your assessed value. So again, Carmel School District may have a budget or a tax levy of 110. Mahopac may have 112. There's a $2 million difference. So, you're going to get a different mill rate based upon what school you live in or where you go. But the overall town budget is $27 million. $27 million town-wide divided by the assessed value, that mill rate's going to be is going to be the same for it. But Water District 14, where I live, has a different cost. So the levy for Water District 14 is going to be different than the levy for Water District 2. So again, you have multiple, as Glenn said, you have multiple mill rates. There are some commonalities amongst them, like the general budget, the highway budget, and then everyone in Carmel School District is gonna have a similar Carmel School District mill rate, and same with Mahopac. So it's not just peanut butter across the board that everybody in the town of Carmel is gonna have the exact same mill rate for fire, for water, for lighting district, for
But every
school
house is
district.
assessed differently. One house is worth $100,000, another house is worth $500,000. It should still be the same mill rate for everybody.
It is. The mill rate is the mill rate. Again, you're gonna have different mill rates based upon what taxable district you're in. A school district, a water district, a lighting district, a fire district. But the mill rate is the same if you're living in that district. My neighbor and I pay the same mill rate. I may have a $400,000 house, he or she may have a $350,000 house, but the mill rate is the same for my neighbor.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barry. All right.
Good night.
So Barry, meet with the assessor, make an appointment to meet with Glenn if you want to discuss your particular properties further. Maybe you'll have a better understanding, and maybe there's some room for adjustment. All right, but meet with him. Okay, all right, take care, man. All right. Okay. All right, is there anyone else here
Bye, Glenn. Bye,
regards
Dave.
to the
Thank you.
assessing presentation?
Safe
If not,
safe travels.
we're gonna move
Yeah, I was
on.
gonna say bye, Brian. We're getting-
Okay, so the next item on the agenda, number 2, consider request to waive the 30-day notice of requirement in Section 64 of the New York State Alcohol Beverage Control Law with respect to a liquor license for Babu NY LLC. It's DBA BAMS. And Board, you have the application for the 30-day notice of waiver in your packet. It's at 166 Stoneleigh Avenue in Carmel. The name of the business will be BAMS, B-A-M-S, and the applicant is Babu, B-A-B-U-N-Y LLC. So Greg and I reviewed the application. Where'd he go, Greg?
I'm over here, I moved.
All right, okay. You're satisfied with that it's complete, Greg?
Yeah, for your purposes, absolutely. It's
Okay.
just a 30-day period. It helps the applicant to expedite the process at the New York State Liquor Authority level, and SLA goes through the application in painful detail unless you had an objection to the license at the particular location. Typically, you waive it.
Okay. This is, if those who aren't familiar with this location, it's where Northern Smoke, the barbecue place, was located. And I think Peter's Plum was there at one time years ago.
Do drop in.
Do drop in.
Up the creek.
Up the creek, do drop in. It's changed hands a few times over the years.
Sorry.
So this is the latest business that's going to be occupying that location. So, everybody's good with that?
Yes.
All right.
Councilman Borelli had a great idea that I second. Could we work with the scouts since they're sitting here and they may have homework?
He's got to go to school tomorrow.
Could we
Yeah.
jump around to the?
Yeah, they're actually,
It's number 6 for the gentleman here.
yeah,
And then Mike Karnazik will talk about the waiving the fee. So it's 3 and number 8.
it's 3 and 8. So we have 2 gentlemen here, right? 2 scouts that are working on 2 separate Eagle Scout projects? Okay, so why don't we do that? That's fine. So let's go to number 7. James
No,
Gilchrist.
number 3.
Oh, I'm sorry, number 3. Mike Karnazik, Building and Codes Enforcer.
And then 8.
Then 8.
And then
Consider, thank you, John. Consider request to authorize waiver of permit fee for Eagle Scout candidate Noah Wall.
Oh, there he is.
Where's Noah? There he is. All right. Noah, this is Mike Carnazzo. Have you met him already? He's our building inspector? Okay. All right. So talk a little bit about your project, Noah, and then Mike, explain to Noah what has to transpire. All right. Welcome.
Well, thank you.
Mike, just turn the mic over towards you.
So I'm going to be building a gazebo at my Church of the Holy Communion, 5-minute drive down from the there.
Oh, hold on, your
Mic's
mic's
not
not on.
Okay, yep, it's on now?
I'm going to start over.
Is it on now? Yeah, can you start over?
Okay. So I'm going to be building a gazebo at the Church of the Holy Communion in Mapac. It's about 5 minutes down the road on Route 6 there. Do you want me to describe how it's going to be built, or? do you want me
Yeah,
to- Okay.
sure, just,
Sure.
yeah, a brief
So-
description of the.
All right, so we'll start by, digging 8 holes, because we're going to be buying a kit that I'm going to have shipped there. I'm going to talk, we have a carpenter in the church, and one of my friends, I'm going to have some of the people from the football team help me build this, and some people from my youth group and the scout troop will help me build this. So we'll get them together, we're going to dig the 8 holes, and then put the posts in with the cement, and probably put some stones around that. Then we'll be putting up the posts, build the floor, put up the poles for the roof to be placed on top. For fundraising, money's being donated from the church, and also I'm going to have to be fundraising the rest, but that's my burden, so I'll be doing that. Scouts can't use power tools, so the project's being catered for that. So the adults will be making cuts, but we'll be doing all the heavy lifting. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Great idea.
Yeah, this is a wonderful project. It really is. Thank you for this. And I'm sure the Church of Holy Communion is very... No.
Well, I want to ask you, where do you send the donations? That's all I want to ask.
Okay.
That's what I
Ye-
thought.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Norman, we actually usually always ask
We
at
do
the,
ask.
at the end, we always ask, when are you gonna have fundraisers? Every single scout we ask.
I'm not sure. I guess to the Church of the Holy Communion, and then they'll help me fundraise that. I can talk to them about that. That would be great.
So then just get back to us.
When you
I'll
know,
get back to
Once
you.
you know,
Yeah.
come back
Once
to
you
us.
know,
'cause
get back to us.
We'll post it.
Thank you
We'll-
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Noah, if you have any fundraisers, like, a spaghetti dinner, a cookie drive, any
Yeah.
car wash, always let us know, and, we will certainly support it and
Okay,
get
thank
the
you so
word out
much.
as much as we can.
Okay.
And you're going to need the building inspector to do footing inspections, right?
Yes, I'll be going out there just twice. It'll be a footing and a framing, so it's all gonna
Okay.
be open framing at the end, so I'll be able to see everything. I'll work with them. If they need it on the weekends and I'm around, I'll be happy to go over there and donate my time. I'm not gonna put in for it, I'll just go over and take a look at it, so. We'll make it work for them.
Okay, good, super. All right. Anybody else have any questions for,
No,
Or
I
Eagle
think-
Scout
I think
candidate?
It's great.
all right, yeah, looking forward to seeing it.
Thank you so
And
much.
and let us know about the fundraising also.
Sure.
And this, they're here for waive the fee, the building,
The building permit fee.
the building permit. So I'm completely comfortable waiving the fee. As Mike said, he'll go out there and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Other hands, sir.
whatever we can do for our scouts and our Eagle Scout candidates, that's great. Thank you.
And Noah, just before you go out, just stop with, Mr. Marino, all right, and give him any information you can.
Okay.
Where he can send the donation, okay?
Once we find out.
Once we find
Yeah,
out, we
once
will.
we find out, yeah.
We definitely will. All right,
Thank you.
thanks, Noah.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, thank you, yeah.
Good luck.
Okay, next, number 8, Jim Gilchrist as well. This consider a request to authorize Eagle Scout project picnic tables at Red Mills Historic Park, and Kyle Link is the Eagle Scout candidate. Kyle is here to present his project to the town board. Welcome, Kyle, how are you?
Hello, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
I'm going to be building 2 picnic tables over in the Red Mills Park. Each table's, for one table, it's going to cost around $350 to $400. The wood I'm thinking of using is cedar. For fundraising, we're going to, what's it called? We're going to just bake sale, and we're going to do a raffle too. The benches are also going to be put onto stone platforms in the park so it doesn't rot away faster. The tables are outlined on the diagrams you have. It's capable for handicapped people to go underneath them. And like I was talking about, the stone pads, those are going to be cost around $175 each.
Okay,
Looks great.
yeah.
Oh, I love that it's handicap accessible. I think that's really wonderful.
Yeah, if you look at the pictures of the picnic tables, they're going to match the signs that we have out in the Red Mills Park. We have the large posts with the wooden pegs in it. So we're going to try to keep any hardware behind wooden dowels. So it looks, looks like there's all dowels holding it together. And then if anybody's been out to Red Mills Park, around the flagpole, you'll see there's a stone platform. We have the lights that are in there. Those are the same stones and the same design will be underneath the picnic tables. That was your troop that did that also, right?
Oh, nice. What kind of wood are you using again for the tables?
Cedar.
Cedar? Okay. Very good. And you're going to have footings for these, or are these going to be mobile? In other words, you're going to be able to move them around, or are they going to be fixed there?
Yes, I'm going to construct them at my house, and then we're going to bring them there, and we're going to tie them to the...
Assemble them there.
Okay. All right, great.
They look kind of heavy. I don't know if.
They do look
people
heavy.
will be able to
They look
move them.
really heavy.
Yeah, they look solid, that's for sure. Okay. And what's going to be underneath them, around them? What are you putting it on, gravel? or fieldstone?
Yeah, stone, concrete.
Okay. Concrete sub-base
This is
with
great,
fieldstone.
thank
Nice, yeah, very nice. Great project. Really, thank you so much for your project, and it's going on town property, so you're saving the taxpayers money too by,
And let us know when you're doing your fundraiser.
I will.
Yeah. And Kyle, when do you think these are going to be done, and when is this project going to be completed, do you think?
I'm hoping to start the project this summer.
Okay.
okay, so your court of honor would be when timeframe, next year, or would it be this year?
Next year.
Next year sometime?
Yes.
Same with yours now?
Yeah.
Next year?
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
I age out next January, so
You do? Okay.
It'll be
All
done
right,
by
good,
then.
yeah, get it done by then. Definitely, yeah. And we'll be at your Eagle Scout Court of Honor ceremonies, whenever they are. Just let us know, send us an invitation. All right, if there's anything that you guys need while you're working on your projects, you could, coordinate with either Jim and then, or with Mike Carnazza with your case, Noah. All right, and if you need anything from us, just don't hesitate to contact us. We'll help you out. Yes, Noah?
Thanks, guys.
Say, go to Home Depot, they have a program where they make donations in the town and ask them, maybe they'll give you the material or something. Just try it. I don't know but they can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thursdays, they sell the broken bags of concrete.
Oh,
Thank you.
there you go. Okay, great.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
Appreciate it, thank you. Yep, good luck. Best of luck, yeah. Thank you, Scoutmasters, and thank you.
You want to stay for the next one, or you want to go back?
No, go back.
He's right there for the shared thing. Number 7, come on.
All right.
All right, I'll be,
Where is it? Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I'll be real
Good
quick.
night, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Good night, thank you. What are we doing,
How you doing,
number
good?
7 now?
Good, okay. We're doing number 7.
Have a good one.
Yeah. Talk to you soon. All right.
This is
Goodbye, thank you.
the agreement that we have between the town of Carmel and the Carmel School District to use their athletic fields. And Supervisor Kenny and myself, back with about 8 years ago.
When we met with them?
Yeah, about 8 years ago.
8 years ago, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
We worked out a deal where
You have it?
they were looking for sand and salt for the school district.
Yeah, I got it.
So we were able to bring that in. They also were looking to use any equipment from the Parks Department. So we've worked very closely with the school district over the last, probably since 2005. That's when I went through my records about that far back. But the equipment and the sand and salt came in over the last 5-year contract. And the school district is looking to do the same for the next 5. No rates were increased. We would still provide $2,000 a year for clay. We actually buy the clay and have it delivered to the school district. They use that for the lower softball fields at the high school. And then the porta potty at Carmel High School, we have that delivered up there, we have it maintained, and we pay the monthly charge for that. And it's, over the years, we used to use the varsity baseball field. That, when we built Camarda Park, we kind of backed out of that. So we don't use that upper tier anymore, and that was taken out of the contract when Camarda Park was built.
So Jimmy, these are pretty much for, like, is it the CSA? Carmel Sports
CSA, it
Association?
would be for the softball, baseball, and flag football programs. CSA pays for the gym use in the gymnasiums during the summer, during the winter for basketball. And then for their flag football games in the fall, they play under the lights on a turf field. They pay that individually. I think they do 2 or 3 Saturdays, evening games for that.
This is what we negotiated 8 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Virtually the same?
It's
contract?
identical, yep.
Identical? Yeah, I was just gonna say. That is, yeah.
We lucked out, it's
Yeah,
it was
no,
a
that's
win-win,
great.
so.
Yeah, no, perfect. Yeah. And this is the sharing, sharing
Yeah,
of
and
services
just so
and
you're aware,
facilities
with the
that-
highway department, any materials that are used, the school district will come over to the highway garage up in Carmel. The highway department will load their trucks, they maintain a record, and then it's brought back to the highway department office, and bills are sent directly up to the school district. And we bill for just the materials. the material cost. So if they take 15 yards of sand or salt, that's what the charge is. And Mike Simone's been great to work with up there, so there's been absolutely no issues with that.
Great.
Jimmy, how many, do you roughly know, like, how many, like, what is it, Little League teams or T-ball teams that they have that use the fields, or you don't know? I know.
Well, right now, baseball, the numbers are going down in all baseball leagues. Lacrosse numbers are coming up. Flag football numbers are coming up. So everything changes. Girls softball numbers are up.
Right.
So right now, up at Camarda Park, you can go up there on a given night, you might see 2 girls softball teams playing on both fields. And 5 years ago, 4 years ago, it would have been all boys playing up there, and the
Right.
girls were looking for places to play. So what we did is we saw it kind of coming a couple of years ago, so we skinned the fields up there, so they can be used by all groups. But typically, we use it limited use for girls softball during the summer. For a lot of their travel games will be played up at the high school. Flag football's played up there all fall, because they don't play that in Camarda Park.
Okay.
And then, obviously, for practices, for T-ball, they play on the second tier down. So you have the track and football field. There's a tier down, like a mid-level field.
Right.
Before you get to the bottom, that's where you'll have the T-ball programs playing. They use that, spring, summer, and fall.
Which field?
T-ball.
At Camarda Park?
No, at the high school.
Oh, okay.
High school too. We're talking about high school fields.
High school fields.
Okay.
Up in Carmel High School, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
good. Thanks, Jim.
All right?
Thank you.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, thanks for moving me up here.
Yep, no problem. All right, next, number 4, Mike Carnazza, Building and Codes Enforcement, consider request to authorize property compliance cleanups for tax map 76.9-3-38 and tax map 55.19-1-19.1. Mike, take it away.
5519-119.1, yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, these are 2 properties that have been problems. The one on Mayfair they have a pool in the backyard. Mosquito larvae will be in there very shortly. Health Department has a big concern with that, with the West Nile. Obviously, every year we've had that issue. But this pool is not maintained. There are bottles of, looks like the treatment for the pool that they just left there. The grass is long, so it's just a perfect breeding ground for the mosquitoes. We really need to do something there. I guess I have a question for Greg. Can I get somebody out there to do a pool? Like, what do I do? I guess is what my question would be.
For the purposes of assessing what needs to be done? or
No, I know what
physically
needs to be
do?
done. They need to take the cover that's there, that's ripped, get rid of it, get a different cover, put it on there with the balloon inside there to hold it up so it doesn't get the puddles of water on the sides. And then this way that'll take care of the puddles, and then obviously weed whack, clean, and mow.
Is it zombie at this point?
Yeah, it is.
Obviously, you got to get
There's a
proposals.
judgment against the property,
Right.
but it's not foreclosed on yet. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it could be
'cause-
a different type of judgment. Might not be
Okay.
a judgment of foreclosure and sale, but you need to get the estimates for it, and then the board can make a determination as to whether, it's something that's cost-effective to do.
Mike, is there actual water in the pool? Like pool water in the
It's full.
pool?
Yeah, but the water in the pool isn't necessarily the problem if there's a good cover on top. Because the pool water actually holds the balloon up, which makes the cover rounded and the water falls off.
No, I was just thinking
When you get the
safety.
sags,
I was thinking more of safety than.
it's 4 feet
than-
tall, so it's no different than any pool with
Okay.
a fence on it, to be honest
Okay.
with you. And it does have a cover. What I'm more concerned about is that the mosquitoes, I know the
On the
pool's a
outside of it,
concern, but,
yeah.
I mean, I don't think I can go get the pool removed. I don't know if I could do
Oh,
that.
no, I was just thinking about draining the water.
So the water,
But-
yeah,
The water holds the pool
right.
Yeah, okay.
So, and the second one is a property up in Carmel. We had the property attempted to be mowed last year. They were able to do the front yard, but they could not get in the backyard. There was water, terrible. It just never dried up. They weren't able to get in there, so we have to hit the front end back this year. Hopefully, we can get a few dry days, and maybe it'll dry up a little so we can take care of both sides of this yard, but at least get the front yard done. So,
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, great. Thanks, Mike.
and this is under the property maintenance law, so
Yeah.
this is all
Yeah,
allowed. It's
reimbursed.
just,
Yep.
Yeah.
okay?
All right.
Got
Thanks,
it.
Mike.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
before the next meeting, would you like me to try to get some estimates on the pool? Is that-
Yeah, if you
Is that
can.
what you're looking for?
Yeah,
Great.
definitely.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. All right, number 5, Lake Cassie Park District Advisory Board, consider request to set pay rates for the 2019 summer part-time help. So they're asking for lifeguard 17, junior lifeguard, I guess, would be 16, lifeguard 15, gate guard 13, gate guard 16. So these are the 2019 rates that are being proposed by the Lake Cassidy Park District for their lifeguards and gatekeepers.
Is that weighted different, Kenny? So each district
Yeah.
controls their rates?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and the hourly rates, Mike, for the lifeguards, it's all pretty much based on experience. So there's a senior lifeguard, they'll pay a little bit more than junior lifeguards, et cetera, the gate guards, so,
Hey,
yeah.
Kenny, next year, just ask, Lake Cassie, just to put, head lifeguard, like how they did here, 1 year experience, 2 year experience, because it's just saying lifeguard, like, we're assuming it's that, and we know it is.
Yeah.
But if they could just be more
It's-
specific.
I think it's commensurate with their experience.
Yeah, I would
Yep,
think 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, is
Yeah.
what they have here.
We could do that. They don't?
Yeah, like this one, they have 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and then they have yeah, just ask her to put that in. Thank you.
Okay, so the next one, 6 is the same. This is for the Lake Secor Park District for 2019. Lifeguard, first year 13, second year 15, third year 17. That answers Susie's question.
Right.
Head lifeguard is 20. In addition, we will pay for recertifications as long as they are done within the town and approved prior to attendance. Thanks, Carl. This is from Carl Brenner with the Lake Secor Park District. Any questions, comments, concerns about the hourly rates?
No,
that they're
but
proposing?
just with all of them, just make sure they all have their certificates and they give them to Jimmy, right? Don't
Yeah,
they have to do that?
Yes, they do.
He left.
Yeah, Jimmy left, but they were all given to Jimmy. And I think Jimmy arranges for certifications to be done as well,
Yep.
if they need certifications. So. Okay, next item on the agenda, Jimmy, we took care of 7, 8, 9. Mike Simone, Highway Superintendent, consider request to authorize purchase of parts for a 2001 New Holland flail mower. You have Mike Simone's backup. I request to purchase the part totaling $13,287.05 from Westchester Tractor Incorporated per the attached quotes. Note, Westchester Tractor is $354.05 higher than Keel equipment, but their delivery date is at least a month longer and the equipment is needed ASAP. This flail mower trims the shoulders of the road back at intersections. They cut the foliage and overgrowth back that restricts visual of the intersections by the cars. So they have to cut that back, and this equipment is used for that. So this is the
equipment, the lowest cost, it's 3 to 4 months delivery. The season would be over.
Yeah.
4 months.
3 to 4 month delivery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be over.
It almost makes it a non-responsive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Proposal,
the season's
yeah.
over. They have
Yeah.
to cut the grass
Yep.
in the next 3 to 4 months multiple times.
Yeah, these flail mowers are important during the spring growing season, and summer growing season, so. All right, Susie, okay with this?
Yes.
Mike? Good?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's go on to number 10, Rich Franzetti, Town Engineer. Consider requests for proposals for asset management services. Rich?
Good evening. As the board is aware, the town was selected to participate in the municipal sewage system asset management pilot program. The engineering department had requested participation in 2016 and was notified in May of 17 that we were selected. The engineering department has been working with the DEC, the EFC, and the engineering firm Barton and Ladouce to develop the asset management plan for Carmel Sewer Districts 4, 5, 6, and 7. The asset management includes inventories, informed decision-making, and long-term funding strategies. As the town is developing a master plan and planning for the future by investigating in crucial infrastructure needs, Councilman Schneider requested an asset management inventory and study for sewer and water districts not included in the DEC program that we're in, and this would include Carmel Sewer Districts 1 and Extension 1, Sewer Districts 2, 3, and 8, Carmel Water Districts 1, 2, 2A, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, and 14. And we request authorization to issue RFPs for this service to firms that have asset management experience.
Okay. All right, any questions, comments for the engineer regarding the asset management proposals? Susie, you want?
No, I think it's needed.
Yeah, yep,
Okay.
okay. All All right, Rich, go on to the next one. 11, consider request to authorize change order number 1 of contract C-242 for Carmel Water District 9 at no cost to the town.
So as the board is aware, the reference project was awarded to Brenna Construction due to winter conditions, rock, and maintenance and protection of traffic challenges with allowing residents in and out of the narrow roadways. It is recommended that the date for substantial completion be changed to June 13th. The delay was not caused by the contractor, and a more detailed explanation is provided from John Falchetti. In order to ensure appropriate time for the contractor to complete the project, we recommend that the board authorize the no-cost work change order with the proposed contract completion date would be on or before September 13th, 2019.
Rich, this project seems to be progressing along fairly well
Yes.
at this point.
Yeah,
So
everybody's happy.
The extension is for further work that,
To complete the remaining, I think they have about 400 feet left on Vista Terrace North.
and the issue is rock over there? There's been a lot of
The issue has been rock, unfortunately, everywhere.
rock.
So.
Okay. All right. At the end. He's gonna be here. You have to wait till the end for comment. Okay, any questions on this, Suzie? I know you.
No, I just know, I've been hearing from a lot of residents that it's like a big inconvenience for them to have all of this work going on and to extend it, you know, but it needs to be done, you know, you can't stop it. It is what it is, but.
You know, unfortunately, it's,
I
you know,
know.
because of those tight conditions where equipment is part of the reason why, along with rock and the winter conditions that were there, that he wasn't able to do it in the time that it was.
Yeah.
I think it's being only extended or being requested for an extension of a month right now. It was supposed to be finishing up, I think in June. I have it, I closed my memo, I do
June 13th.
apologize.
June 13th.
Oh, it's only.
Substantial completion.
Oh, I thought it was gonna, oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No, the original date
I thought it
is-
was going through September.
No. The original date of substantial completion was supposed to be April 29th. It's now being moved to June 13th.
Oh,
So
okay.
you have, it's a month and a half that it's being extended.
Okay. The proposed contract, but not. All right, that's why I was.
Yeah,
that's
I
right
think
there.
you were
I
looking
read
at this
September
here.
13th.
That has to do with all the payments and everything.
Yeah,
Yep.
yep, I was looking at the completion. Okay.
All right. All right, Rich, go on to the next one. Consider request to accept proposal for Raking Services, Lake Secor Park District.
So in accordance with the Town of Carmel procurement policy in 2016, Carl Brenna of the Lake Secor Park District Advisory Board obtained multi-year proposal to perform annual hydro raking at Lake Secor. At that time, Solitude Lake Management provided a proposal with cost at $5,600 a year for 2016, 17, and 18, and $5,900 for 2019 and 20. Per the attached April 6th resolution, we approved these services, or the board approved these services for 16 through 18. The department contacted Solitude Lake to verify if the costs for 2019 and 20 were valid. They provided an updated quote, which now shows the price going to $50.80 per year for the next 2 years, 2019 and 20. This service has been included in the Lake Secor Park District 2019 budget, and we recommend that we authorize Solitude Lake Management to perform this work. The reason why the cost went down is they have been doing the work in 15 hours versus 20 if you look at the backup to it.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And this is absolutely needed over there, Rich.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Mhm.
No question about it. So I'm glad we're moving forward with that. Any
Perfect.
questions, comments?
Nope.
No? Okay, next, Rich, number 14. This is a request, consider request to authorize payment for repair services,
No,
Carmel.
Number 13.
The dock, I'm sorry, I skipped the dock. I'm sorry, 13, Rich. Consider request to accept proposal for the thank you, Sue, installation of a dock at the Lake Secor Park District.
So the Lake Secor Park District Advisory Board received the attached 3 quotes to upgrade and install existing docks at the Lake Secor Beach area. Sportsman's Marina at $9,910.28, Easy Dock South at $10,515.24, and Regatta Sock System at $7,189. The quotes are for the installation of 4 60-inch by 120-inch docks with associated equipment. We note that the Regatta Dock System proposals did not include installation, chains, and hardware, while the proposals from the other 2 proposers did. Therefore, the quote from Regatta Systems was deemed not responsive. Based on the pricing, we recommend that the project be awarded to Sportsman's Marina at the cost of $9,910.28. There are sufficient funds in the budget for this work.
Yeah. Can-
I told him.
Oh, you
did?
told them? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I
Just
just,
to have the invoice reflect Sportsman's Marine.
I would like the invoice and the warranty on the bottom. It all has to say, or should say, the Sportsman Marina.
Sportsman's
Because
Marina.
here, it's like the warranty's under the Easy Dock Innovations, everything is under Easy Dock
Sportsman Marina.
Innovations, but yet, we're contracting Sportsman Marina.
Easy Dock Innovations.
I will get that info. Greg relayed it to me. I've already contacted Carl from Secor to reach out to the folks. I will also reach out to Sportsman's Marina tomorrow and get this information.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
It's the system, I guess it's the system that they use, the Easy Dock system. Yeah, just the install.
I'm familiar with it.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So Rich, just
I'll
let
get
us-
the
let
info.
board know
I
what
will
the
get the
answer
board, I will get the information. Once I get the information, I will forward it to the board so that you're assured that it is what you're asking for. And if it's not, then we hold it over and we get it till we get it right. But we should get it right then.
Perfect.
Good. All right, Rich, now go on to number 14, consider request to authorize payment for repairs in Carmel Water District 14.
So this memorandum is presented to the town board to request payment of repairs invoice. They're over the town of Carmel's procurement policy threshold. In Carmel Water District 14, 2 Scott Road, there was a saddle repair on April 18th. B&J, the operators of Carmel Water 14, notified the engineering department of a water leak. Upon further investigation, it was determined that the saddle had failed. And there's an invoice attached to the amount of $5,165 for Cuck Excavating to perform and repair this at this location. We've advised the controller of this expenditure, and there are sufficient funds to do this work, or the work is already done to pay for this work.
Okay. All right. Any questions, comments regarding this work that has been completed? It was a water main break, as Rich stated. B&J Plumbing was on scene, along with Ed Cook Excavating, and they made the necessary repairs. And this is the invoice for those repairs from Ed Cook Excavating. Mike, you good with this?
Absolutely.
Good, Susie? All right, John, good. All right, Rich, go on to the final agenda item for tonight. That's consider discussion regarding the property interest from Putnam County to access the Upper Teakettle Dam.
So, as the town board is aware, the engineering department has accepted proposals for the development of design plans and specs for the performance of maintenance and repair work at 3 town-owned dams. This first phase is to have trees and brush removed from the dams' upper and lower embankments, and once completed, future work may need to be performed to bring the dam into compliance. The town has 2 access points to the Upper Teakettle Lake Dam. However, a more cost-effective and logically sensible access point is over the Putnam County's own parcel located at 26 Northview Road, tax map 7617-2-55. I had contacted Superintendent Fred Penna and John Tully of the Putnam County to determine, Commissioner Penna, sorry, and John Tully of Putnam County to determine what would be required from the county to use this parcel to access the dam, and they asked us if the town would be interested in taking fee title to the property. I had asked that this matter be placed on the next available board session, and the board should note that it is anticipated that the work will most likely commence in the late summer, early fall. So I told the folks at county I would bring this to you guys. We need to most likely access the property. It would be easier to access this particular dam through the Putnam County property.
Greg? Isn't there a maintenance easement or something like that we can enter into an agreement with the county as opposed to
Yeah, I think
taking over the property's interest?
what Rich is saying is that in terms of the ease of construction and the cost of construction to the district, access through the county parcel is preferred, and it may result in a savings because of that. Not necessary from the town's purposes to take fee title. You can request the issuance or the grant of an easement, which is what I'd recommend, up to the legislature, and obviously County Highways and Facilities make a recommendation on what they would want to do in that regard. But a permanent easement would suffice to serve our purposes.
And just so the board is aware, and I did not speak to Greg about this, but I did speak to John Tully earlier today to let him know that this was going to be on the agenda, and he just asked that, if possible, that Greg speak to their legal department just to talk about these things, but that's up to the board, so.
I made the call today.
You made the call?
We haven't connected. Just
Okay.
for general purposes, and I'll advise the board as to what the position is.
Good luck with that.
I thank you.
Yep.
And just so the board is aware, there are, so if we use the Putnam County access, there really are 3 ways to get to this dam, but there's gonna be one off Union Valley Road that we might have to use, so we're gonna have to talk about that in the future. So,
All right, good. Thank you, Rich. All right. Rich, just stick around for a couple of minutes because there might be a question for you from a resident.
wait, can I get Jimmy Gilchrist back here too?
Oh, yeah. All right, so that completes the agenda items for this evening's town board work session, and at this time, I'm gonna open up the floor to any comments, questions from the public with respect to the agenda items that we covered tonight. Norman?
I'd just like to know how much are we paying a foot? Is it a water line, I believe you said, on Brennan is putting in?
I don't know that number off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I can certainly get back to you on that.
Well, just for your information, that sewer line that's out on Route 6 here,
Mm-hmm.
I was on the town board when that started, and it was 1.6 million was the number to put in that sewer line. It wound up being like 7 million. Whatever, it came to $1,200 a foot. I called Boston, one of the crookedest towns in the world, and asked them, how much do you pay for a foot of sewer line? And at the time, they told me $350. And here we paid $1,200. You guys gotta keep it, yes, don't tell me no. I was on the town board.
No, I'm talking about the water district we're doing now.
Well, I don't know what it is. That's why I asked the question. I know what happened outside. It was a 1.6, and it wound up being, close to 7.
270. I think
And we can't have that happening. The same thing happened, the same company was doing the closed landfill. That started out low, and it went all the way up again. Maybe we shouldn't hire the same company all the time. I mean, hello? Okay.
Valid point. Thanks, Norman.
That was that. My other reason, you know why I'm here. I sent the email as you requested.
That's not on the agenda, Norman.
But Kenny, it's on the money.
It's
on the money,
It's
Kenny.
under new business.
It's on the money. It's not new business, it's old business. You asked me to
No,
send it, I
no,
send it,
this is-
and
this-
I don't get
Norman,
any response.
We're gonna hear you. We're gonna allow you to speak, but you're out of order.
Out of sequence.
You're out of sequence.
You're out of...
You're out of
Where's
sequence.
the TV thing?
No, well, I have to ask, is there anybody else here?
Oh,
for-
okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. Is there anybody else here for agenda items only at this time? Agenda items only? There being none, now the floor is open to new business, public comment
Okay,
portion of the meeting.
I'm sorry I misunderstood you, Supervisor, Mr. Supervisor. That was my problem. Okay. I sent the information that you requested. I haven't heard one word from your office. And then I followed up and sent something else where you don't even have to spend $33,000. You could spend less than $5,000 and do what you want to do. And just from tonight, you're telling me all these microphones are terrible, but meanwhile, you're using them. I hear you fine. I don't understand this, spending money for things that we don't have to spend money on.
We've had, Norman, I appreciate you sending over that information. We did look at it. We reviewed it. And the equipment that's currently here in this studio is extremely technical and sophisticated. It's not what you had presented to us. I looked at it, and it's not apples for apples. It really isn't. What we spec'd out here was multiple cameras, not only in this meeting room, but the meeting room two and the conference room.
Same thing with the other one.
The entire, all the equipment that's in there has been failing on a regular basis. So we're spending a lot of money to keep an old studio up and running, and it's gotten to the point where we have to upgrade it.
Fine, but you can do it for a lot less money. All of this equipment has improved, and you don't have to spend, we spent $65,000 for that. And that was done by the then supervisor, who didn't have the permission of the town board to go and sign the contract that he did. I'm glad the news is leaving, because they don't want to hear this, do they? No, I know. Believe me, I know. Mayor Pack News doesn't want to know what's happening with your money.
Norman, so you spent $65,000 on that studio, the current studio?
Excuse me,
I'm
I didn't
just
spend it. Mr. Pazzi spent it when he wasn't supposed to spend it, and that is why he's not sitting here any longer.
I can't agree.
Okay? Because there was a little investigation. I know everybody keeps talking about the Attorney General here. Well, I think the FBI has to be brought in, not the Attorney General, and they, just like Mr. Vincent Lyer Bell, things have to change around here, And I'll make sure they do. Believe me when I tell you that, because I did it, and I'm going to do it again if this
Norman,
stuff keeps going on.
Norman, can I just explain to you that the studio that we're upgrading, we brought highly technical people in here to spec out what we needed.
They want to sell you stuff. Don't you know that?
It went out to bid.
They want to sell you stuff, Kenny.
I understand that.
I don't want to sell you nothing.
It went to seven different companies.
And only 2 responded.
That special.
Don't let me get into it here. I don't want to get into it here.
I
That
don't-
one person who
but I'm just
responded
trying to make a
happens
point.
to know people on the board. Okay, come on.
Norman, I'm not.
Well, he rented a space from you, Mr. Lupinacci.
From me?
Yes, at one point he did.
You had
I'm a commercial law.
396 Route 6, is that
No,
your
that's
address?
that's not this Lupinacci. It is a Lupinacci, but.
Kinda wish it was.
Oh, okay, it's not you. All right, forget that. I didn't even want to bring this up, but I mean, you questioned me. Here I bring it up.
I'm glad you did, because you were wrong.
It's a Lupinacci, am I right? Okay.
It's not this Lupinacci.
I knew his father. I know your father. Your father was a nice man.
I don't play like him either.
There's a supervisor out on Long Island that's a Lupinacci. Chad Lupinacci, you related to him? No. Okay, got it.
At any rate,
No, it's,
people who want to sell you stuff tell you, when I called the person up who gave me this equipment, the name of it and the specs and all the stuff, and I gave to you, the guy says, well, you can spend $1 million if you want. He said that. I says, I want to spend the least I can spend to do what I have to do. And he says, well, this is it then. It's all there in one package about the size of this podium here, and you got 3 cameras. If you want to add cameras, you can add cameras. There's a backpack you can put, costs $2,000. If you could go out to the field and stream and do whatever the heck you want. We do not have to spend $186,000. We just do not. You heard people in here tonight complain about the taxes. I know the town taxes aren't the major thing here.
We were discussing this months ago, Norman. This is not
Years.
a new initiative.
Well, I'm sorry, but I just seen in the newspaper. You seen this guy from the Mayapack News walk out when I started talking about it.
But I really wish you would have been here months ago.
Why? You can cancel a contract.
We approved, we signed the contracts. It's approved. We're going forward with it, Norman. So
It's
the
unbelievable.
time to discuss this.
You didn't say that the last time you were here. I was here. You didn't tell me that it's a done deal.
No, you said you had information for us that could save the town money, that a studio could be built for 1/3 of the cost of what we're spending on it, is what you said.
Right.
And I said, okay, get us the information, let's take a
And so
look
then
at
the
it.
contract wasn't signed
It
then?
was signed.
Well, that's what I just said. You didn't tell me that it was signed. Did you? No, you didn't.
I just told you it was
Oh,
signed.
yeah, I know you just told me. Now we are agreeing on something.
Norman, would you have been satisfied if I told you that whenever you were here last?
Well, I would have known that I'm wasting my time, you know.
You
I
never
mean,
would-
I'm here again tonight. I sat through this whole mess of stuff. I used to get paid to sit up there. I don't get paid to sit there now, okay? So I'm just here as a citizen
Let me
now.
just say, we appreciate you coming to the meetings, Norman, we really do, all
By
right?
the way, I got a big, started at 16, went up to 18 after 10 years.
But we had, let me just say this,
18,000.
Norman, let me just say this. We had professionals that spec out studios assist us with putting together the bid packet for that studio. This is what they recommended, the equipment they recommended that is needed to replace an aging studio that cost $65,000 15 or 18 years ago.
Well, that's only, again, because Mr. Pazzi purchased it without our approval. So, that's all.
So I'm just saying, fast forward to 2019, that $65,000 that Mr. Pazzi purchased is now, for a good system, is $186,000.
But you don't need all of that to do this. Do you understand that? That's what I'm trying to impress upon you.
Right, and
You don't need all of that.
Right, and Norman, I gotta be honest with you, I do wish that whomever this company was, we've been talking about this at least for a year, so over a year. So
But,
that's when
don't-
people, and it's not just you, but you can't put blame on us if we don't get information from people. You
Well, I
can't put
can.
blame-
How was I able to find, excuse me?
No, but what I'm saying, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. We do everything we possibly can.
Yeah.
It's been for a year, and I would have loved the opportunity for anybody to come and say, hey, listen, you don't need a system like
But
that. You
Sue-
could do with that. It's unfortunately, for this time, it's too late, but that's why I stress, and I would love people to call us, to get involved, to find out what's happening. Because if there's people like you that have certain information that can save us taxpayers that we don't know about, give it to us, and we're more than happy to look at it. I know I am.
Councilwoman McDermott, when I read the specs for this system, it came out of the engineering department. It didn't have any other person's name on it that I seen that said this is what we need, okay? So if I don't see it on the specs that it came from so-and-so, it said the engineering department, okay? And the only time I knew about this, when it was in the newspaper a month and a half ago, and that's when I decided, like I did many times while I was on this town board. You know, the first time I was on this town board, we had a meeting about the sewer districts, or whatever it was, and they wanted to spend $100,000 on something. I says, well, I found this thing for $50,000, but we never did it that way. Well, why don't you try doing it that way? And that's what I did. Everybody on this board, yes, they're part-time, some of them, you're full-time. Do your job. Get the papers that, don't come in here and just sit down and say yay, no. Find how to do the job for the least amount of money. And that's what I did every time I sat there. And that's why this town never got a tax increase from the town board while I was sitting there. So, you know, I'm not running for election. The election's over this year already.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you. Okay, bye.
All right, good night, Norman.
Yeah, thank you, Ken.
Norman?
Thank you.
Norman? Hey, Norman, can I respond to you?
Feel free.
I hate to say this, but I agree with you 110%.
Why do you hate to say it?
It's just because our past.
So you hate me?
No.
Oh, yeah.
I always loved you, but
Wait a minute.
Okay. Go ahead.
I hate, and see what you said about being up here and we get paid for this? I don't. Okay, I want to correct you on
I
that.
know, you said you donate your money. Okay,
Nobody,
No, I don't say that. I donate the money.
he does.
that's what I said.
Okay. And
I just haven't
the
checked that.
first thing
so
I
it's-
did, what I hate about this town for the last 20 years that I stood right where you are is how they go about purchasing and how bids come in. And it's very frustrating, okay?
Okay, for that, gentleman.
So that is why I sent a letter to the people that you just spoke about.
Okay.
All right? And that's why, although some council people will say it's not, it's routine, the person is in here for over 6 weeks doing an investigation. The town's being investigated on their procurement policies, all right?
Sure.
And the price on that thing is ridiculous.
It's not necessary, that's all I'm saying.
I agree with you, it's ridiculous. The problem is, and this is my biggest problem on this board, is when we get a bid back by just 1 or 2 people. And it happens too many times.
Then
So,
redo the bid.
personally, I like to tell you is, I am trying to change that.
Well, I hope
And
so.
I agree that that's way crazy money for that, but if you put it in perspective from 20 years ago to now, it's not.
No, it is because the equipment has improved so much. It does, equipment that used to cost that kind of
I
money
agree, Norman.
doesn't
What
cost
do
that
you do
kind
if
of
you only
money.
get 2 bids, 1 or 2 bids? What do you do?
You put it out
You
to
have
bid
something that
again.
doesn't work, you deal by the law, which I'm learning a lot about municipal law, which I can't stand. It's a joke.
You don't have to accept just sending out, it's not, it's a proposal, you don't have to accept that.
I understand
You can
that.
throw them all out.
I understand that. But they've done that before I came on board, and we've done that with me on board, and it comes back again with just 1 person or 2 people.
Then something's wrong. I'm sure
Yes.
there's people who want to do it.
Yes, I
Then,
agree with
then
you.
you know what you do?
No, it
You do what I do. I'm not on the board. I went out and I found this equipment. I can
It's not
find
the
it.
same. I
You
looked
get
at
on
it.
that little
not the
computer
same.
at home.
I looked at it, Norman, it's apples and oranges.
It
really
isn't
is.
apples
Yeah.
and oranges.
Norman,
You're looking at stuff that you don't need for this kind of thing. You don't need it.
It's debatable. I just wanted to say what I said.
Well,
I
you
happen
just
to-
said you
I happen to
agreed.
agree with you
No,
on this one, all
I
right?
know, but you can't agree and disagree. You either got to agree or don't agree. You know, it's not the same. Either you don't need this. If I thought you needed it, I'd be the first to say it. But you get on your computer and you do what I did. I searched, I found, and this is it.
Norman,
Listen, I'm going to get my own little equipment. It's going to cost me $2,000, and I'm going to do this. Every time you do this, I'm going to do it. Okay? Thank you.
Norman.
Have a good night.
Norman,
Yeah.
Norman, I know I should probably just let you keep going,
Keep
but
going where? Out the door? Kenny, you know I love you. Come on.
we did send it out to 7
I
highly
understand. I
qualified-
know what you did.
We did.
I didn't
It
just
wa-
come in here and not research it. I did.
And we had 2 come back out of the 7. I can't force people to bid on a project. I really can't. You know, I mean,
I don't know how-
They had the opportunity to bid on it. 2 came back, 2 bids.
I don't know. You know what?
One was 200,000.
Kenny, you got my phone number, right?
Yeah, I do.
Every time you're going to spend this kind of money, call me. I'll
All
get
right.
it cheaper, okay? That's
All
the
right.
end of it. I mean, it's just that simple.
All right.
Call me, I'll do the research. I'm not even getting paid. Okay.
All right. Thanks,
Love
Norman.
you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, Norman. Thank you. Sir, I think you want
You
to
can
comment
follow
on
that?
something,
Do
right?
you want to follow that?
You- Just pull the mic down a little bit, sir. Thank you.
But he did say that next bid to call him, so we would appreciate you calling him. This way you can get an extra...
Closer to the mic, because we have to fix these.
They are bad.
Well, the reason why I'm here, I tried to get you, Susie, but that failed. I'm here in reference to the noise situation at 1033 Stone Lake that's affecting the retreat at Carmel. That building was empty when a lot of the retreat people had bought there, and lately with the completion of the project, 214 homes are completed now, and most of those late homes that were constructed are in close proximity to the building, which is emitting 24-hour noise, 24 hours a day, and the people that are closest to it are being affected there. Your police department was out there twice since taking the decibels. The board was in receipt of my letter, the map, and all the problem areas. Susie said that she would send the police the 3rd time when the construction on the roof was completed, which I don't see nobody working now, so I feel that it's completed. Whether the new construction went into the millions of dollars, whatever they did on the roof. And number one, we would appreciate the police coming out again to check the decibels. And maybe, I see you have your engineer here. Could we find out what piece of equipment is delivering the noise? I don't think it's an air
So
conditioning
you're
or a
telling
heating
me
system.
it's different now since August? Because when we spoke, and when you spoke with Councilman McDonough, when the police went out there, it was under the decibel,
It's on,
right, John?
yeah, that's what I was gonna give you, because I just put up the thing.
So
When-
did something change since the police were
Well,
there?
I think that the decibels are louder, in my opinion, from wherever I sit, okay? I could hear this noise with my windows closed, and I'm like 3 football fields away from the building. So, I also object to the noise code that you have in place here. I do not think that it fits our development. A 24-hour noise being so close to the development, I don't think there's any other factory in the town of Carmel that fits that description. So, I addressed you in the letter to maybe look at the code and see if it could be altered some way to help the people at the retreat.
Right, so just a little bit of background. I've been in contact with Mr. Muno, and the police have gone out there several times, different days, during the day and in the afternoon, and all of the times they were below the noise limit. Since then, and I wrote to Rich about this, and also Mr. Muno was aware that they were doing something on the top of the building.
Correct.
And we were waiting for, Mr. Muno asked that after they were completed, if the police could go out there again during the day and at night. And we were waiting for the completion, and then Rich was also gonna find out what they were putting on the top there. But as Mr. Muno stated, what he would like us to consider is that even though the decibel and the noise is lower than what's allowed, so meaning we can't do anything about it. And the shrubbery, like at one time I asked if we could put shrubbery there, but because the building's so, these guys are up here and the building's here, the shrubbery would not work. He was asking, after we got the next readings back with the new construction or whatever, the ACs, whatever they put up on top there, I'm not sure.
It was an from what I understand from those folks, it was an air handling unit, so it was air conditioning, but it's also because of the negative air pressure they need for the process that they have in that facility.
Right, so if and when that's completed and they go out again, if the police go out again and is below the noise level, Mr. Muno would like the town board to consider, like he stated, something different in that area with homes being around a pharmaceutical company. So, Rich, do you know if they are done with it yet? Because if they are, we can ask the police to go
I
out
believe they
again.
are. I will confirm with the board. I made a note to just double check. I have to reach out to them tomorrow for something different,
Yep.
different related on their site. So I will find out if they're done. I believe they are complete, though.
Okay, yeah, if they are, we'll have the police
I'll
go
let
out
you know.
again for another decibel reading during the day and at night, and then whatever comes back, we'll certainly let
Right.
you know.
But when they take the readings, I would appreciate them going to lamppost on Terrace Drive, T16, which is an area where the noise is
Wait a minute, I gotta
pretty
write
loud.
that down.
T16?
Lamppost.
T, like in Tom.
Right. So it all depends. Is that in front of your home, Mr. Muno?
No, it's not in front of my home, it's right
It's
on
in the middle of the
Terrace
road?
Drive.
It's on Terrace Drive. It's on the road.
The light pole on Terrace Drive, T16.
Okay.
Okay.
Because on the other visits that the police went, I don't think it's, the description of where they took the noise is not too clear on the reports.
Yeah, we can certainly ask them if
You know,
they can
they-
take it there.
Silarex probably wants to be a good neighbor. I'm sure they do.
Right.
Has
and
anybody
That's my next
contact-
question.
Yes,
Has anybody
Rich.
reached out to them to see if there's anything they can do?
Actually, I have, and the noise is lower based on what Silerex had said, only because the complaints were coming in about 2 years ago, and I had asked them to look into it, and they tried to put some noise cancellation in there. They said that they have. I've not done any decibel readings, but I know that there's still complaints out there from residents. So they have done work there. They do want to work with us,
So
and
that's
they
the
wanna
next
work with the
question.
town.
If possibly, first identify where the noise is coming from.
It's coming from the top. It's coming from their air handling unit,
I think it's coming from a ventilating system in the building.
which is part of the air handling unit.
Okay. A
Air
ventilating.
handling, it's all part of the whole system. Right.
It's 24-hour noise, and sometimes you hear different levels of it, which is very
I don't know
annoying.
how many they have.
So, maybe the town does check the decibels first. If it goes within the code, then maybe the town could solicit people and ask them if it's the air handler, there's different things that they could apply to the equipment to silence the noise, maybe rubber fins or box it in or whatever. So, we would
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's too much of a, I don't think any of the people in our complex has contacted them. I thought that would maybe the wrong thing to do at the time to visit them, but maybe the town has a little bit
Yeah,
more.
but even if the noise decibel is still lower than what's allowed, I think the engineer can certainly ask them to
Yeah.
make suggestions, because it's obviously still bothering you
They
guys.
spent millions of dollars,
So,
whatever they put on that roof. A
so
little bit
maybe-
more on silencing a piece of equipment is
Yeah.
not gonna hurt them.
I think I'll
So-
take a ride out there.
So,
I'll take a
Rich,
ride.
you'll
No.
contact them
Feel
about
free
that?
to
Yeah, I'll
come-
be reaching out to them tomorrow.
Okay, good.
Feel
Yeah,
free.
I've
I
gone
think
up
maybe
there
a call from me to the operators of Silerex. Maybe have that conversation with them. Are
We
they
can,
aware
we
of
can
it?
get on,
Yeah,
we can
Rich
get
has
on the
been
phone tomorrow, Supervisor, if you'd like
Yeah, I
to.
would do it
Well-
together with Rich, because Rich has contacted
I've already
them
been dealing with them. I
Okay.
know the
For like
people to
the last-
contact. There's only a handful of
But-
people
but-
there.
5 months.
but-
No, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
twice. I think a conference call between the two of you.
Right.
Definitely.
Well,
We'll get on a call tomorrow, not a problem.
Yep. And like I
Easy.
said,
Easy peasy.
even if the decibel levels are lower than what the town does, it's still annoying the residents up there, so maybe Silerex can do something
Right.
to lower it.
I feel that it's a
Yeah.
unique problem with our complex. I don't think you have another complex
Right,
that is complaining about noise, that lives near a factory.
yep.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got to look into it. They said they'd be willing, last time I spoke to them, this is the first time I've heard that there's a new noise complaint, and, normally they
We were
come
waiting
through
for the
me.
construction to be completed,
Right.
so it is completed.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Screen 6 foot tall by, 20, 30 feet long on the corner of the building.
Yeah, they'd be willing to work with us. They said that.
yeah, so Frank, the supervisor and the engineer will call
Yeah, I
tomorrow.
appreciate that, and
Yeah,
and Kenny, feel free to come by anytime. You can knock on my door, number 5, tickets in place. We'll take you to the areas that are affected, and just walking on the sidewalk near T16, you're gonna be amazed at the noise coming
You
out of
hear
there.
it, yeah.
Maybe we'll go get a cup of coffee, too.
No problem.
No, you're
McDonald's
supposed
has
to say
cheap
Kenny's
coffee,
buying.
so
Or
they-
McDonald's.
Gotta say
I'm
Kenny's
cheap.
buying, though.
I'm cheap, so it might be McDonald's.
214 homes,
Yeah.
you're collecting a lot of real estate taxes here, and, just go out of your way a little bit to try to help us.
When Silerex first came to Carmel, I met with them, so I'm familiar, I know the owners and the operators of it, nice people.
Yeah.
They're very pleasant, and I think they're willing to work with us.
Okay.
Yeah, they
And,
are.
I think they want to do the right thing, 'cause they want to.
I'm sure they do
Yeah.
it right.
So we'll have that conversation with them,
Okay,
and
Yeah.
No problem.
see whatever, maybe they can ratchat it up a little bit.
okay.
To try to help
I
out.
appreciate
Perfect.
that.
All right.
Thanks,
Okay, Mr.
Frank.
Thanks a
Memo.
lot.
All right. Thanks for being here.
And one other question, the meeting that we had at the high school, I don't see that on TV yet. You plan to put that on TV or not?
That meeting at Carmel Water District?
Yeah.
It should be. It's on the website?
No, the TV. We don't want it on the
Are they
website.
putting it on the TV or not?
Yeah, it should be.
They
He
did?
did, yeah.
It gets in place after, he has it on the lower
Yeah.
I check it every day, and I haven't seen it
You
yet.
haven't seen it on the playback schedule?
Yeah, the schedule on Channel 24.
Yeah, yeah.
24.
Can we double check tomorrow, Ann? Make sure.
What he said was, because of the length of the meeting, he had to bring it down, so the planning board, all the other meetings are showing first. So it could be when you go on, the time, you might not be hitting it on time.
Well, that's another thing.
What I could ask you is ask him when approximately it's going to be on, and then, if you call, I'll text him tomorrow and, see when he thinks it'll.
What time it's coming on. Sometimes you don't get nothing on at 8 o'clock, you know, so it's a little bit messed up now.
Frank, with the new studio upgrades,
Yeah.
it'll be on immediately, instantaneously.
I'll give you my number, maybe you can call me when you feel that.
All right. He's nice.
He's very nice, yeah.
Good night, Frank. Take care. Did you have something? Or? Oh, okay. All right, great. All right. All right. Let me do this quick. I'll do this quick. Here, Susie, why don't you do that one?
The Town of Carmel Recreation and Parks Department is presenting a Music Fest Saturday, May 18th, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Mahopac Chamber Park. The rain date is Sunday, May 19th. It's a fun-filled day of free music and entertainment for all ages, including local bands, popcorn, and cotton candy. The local bands are The Lookout, Shot of Karma, RGK, Mystigris, and Popular Demand. So again, Saturday, May 18th at the Mahopac Chamber Park. It's actually really nice. People should stop by.
When's it starting?
At 4 p.m. Saturday. It's just one day.
Oh, one day?
One day.
Nice.
Yep, it's a nice event.
Bring your lawn chairs.
Yep, bring lawn chairs.
Yep. All right. Councilman Borelli, do you have an announcement?
This is important. We have, all the boards are important, but the planning board is very important. And we have 2 vacancies, notice of vacancies. The town board of the town of Carmel is looking for interested and qualified persons to fill 2 vacancies on the planning board. Please submit a letter of interest and resume to Supervisor Ken Schmidt, Carmel Town Hall, 60 McAlpin Avenue, Mahopac, New York. Fax 845-628-6836. Email amp2@cicarmelnyus. Please submit by the end of next week, May 17th, 2019. For additional information, please check our website. We've gotten a couple of resumes. I know there are people out there that would be great at this position. Please, you have to donate some time. We have 2 openings.
I'm sorry, Mike, I may not have been listening. We have 1 letter of interest so far.
I said we have a couple.
Did you
Yes.
say that?
We have a couple of good.
Okay. All right, but we'd like to have more letters of interest and resumes for those 2 positions. John?
Just reading this now.
Okay.
Okay.
You don't have to do the whole thing.
I was going to say, how much do you want? but-
No, just.
Okay. Putnam County Department of Health, they're having a household hazardous waste drop-off day. And this hazardous waste drop-off day will be May 18th, 2019, 9 a.m. to 12 noon, Fawnstock Park, Canopus Beach parking lot, Route 301, Kent, New York. There is a list, is this on our website?
The county website.
It's on the county website, because there is a laundry list of items. You have driveway sealer, pool chemicals, kerosene, nail polish, drain and oven cleaner, rugs, wood preservatives, turpentine stains, anything that, you cannot throw away or should not throw away in the household garbage, batteries and so forth. You could bring them to, again, Fawnstock Park, Canopus Park parking lot. Route 301, Kent, New York, on May 18th, 9 a.m. to 12 noon. And again, this is on the Putnam County website, or you can contact Putnam Health, one word, Putnam Health, at putnamcountyny.gov, and Putnam County NY is one word.
Okay, thanks, John. My friend Jimmy Rathschmidt stopped by the office. Jimmy Rathschmidt is one of the founders of United for the Troops, him and his wife Patty. And he asked me if I can announce this tonight, and I told him I would, and I'd continue to announce it, in subsequent meetings. This is the 3rd annual golf tournament. It's going to be held on Friday, June 21st, 2019 at Centennial Golf Club. John Simpson Road up in Carmel, bringing a little comfort to our troops is their motto, and they do a great job, by the way. I think they've sent over 21,000 care packages overseas to our troops in Afghanistan, Iraq, and so they're doing a great job, and this is one of their fundraisers that they have. So if anybody's interested in golfing for the United for the Troops, you can reach out to Jimmy Rathschmidt. His contact information, on Facebook. Yeah, I guess he's on Facebook all the time. But, okay, www.unitedforthetroops.org. Click on the link to sign up, and they'll prompt you to how to sign up for the golf outing. So United for the Troops, great organization. They do so much for our members of our armed forces, sending care packages overseas. As I said, over 21,000 so far, which is amazing. And they need our help to continue funding what they do for the troops. So June 21st, they're having a golf outing. Please sign up and participate in that outing. Anybody else have anything else? No? Okay, we don't have executive session, so we're going to close the meeting.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers
Oh,
on
yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah. Yes, happy Mother's Day, Susie. And Ann, happy Mother's Day. All right, so I need a... All right. Okay, so I need a motion to close the meeting. So moved by Councilman McDonough, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. All those in favor? Aye.